27 minutes. Ken and Scott, Postconsumers.
I'm Scott.
I'm Ken. Welcome to the show. Today, happiness.
Happiness.
Yes. New year, new resolutions. I'm sure everybody has probably broken all of them already.
If they even made
any.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year to you as well. So let's talk about happiness. And as far as like post-consuming and economies and all that go. What is the purpose of an economy, really? If not to elevate the people under it to a certain level of happiness.
And how does one measure happiness?
Well, that's a good question. They've come up with a thing called the gross
National
happiness. Yes, GNH.
Out of the country of Bhutan.
Bhutan, yes. It was the was it the son that came in or the father that just died? I think it was the father that had just died and the son came in.
I actually know nothing about the history of it.
Really?
I'm going to have to read
a little bit.
History.
We actually tried to do some research today, but we're probably going to just go off on tangents either way.
As usual.
But no, fundamentally, I don't know the whole history either. But fundamentally, they came up with a whole bunch of things that basically said, how's the environment? What was another one? Political. Does the government work for the people?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were some, sort of quantitative things that they tried to come up with. I think it was like 8 of them. But yeah, the environment and the politics were 2 of the big ones I remember. And then, you put it all together and see if people are happy.
They come up with an index.
Yes.
A single number.
Yes.
And that's the nation's happiness level.
Sure.
Which seems a bit ludicrous on the face of it.
Well,
but we got to have some kind of a
I don't know what
mechanism to quantify these things, I suppose.
Well, what are we trying to quantify if not happiness with the gross domestic product, right? I mean, what is the purpose of what is
tiny
the purpose?
slice of what the GDP measures?
Has anybody ever
when
asked?
it measures correctly,
Yeah.
which it often doesn't.
I mean, really, what are we trying to measure with that?
These are central questions
that's the whole
we're
premise.
trying that we don't have answers to.
That's the holy grail of economics. It's like, what's the GDP? Oh, they must be doing great. But based on what? I mean, they've made a bunch of crap and sold it. So what?
It doesn't matter what it was used for.
It
doesn't matter who made it. It doesn't
How
matter
it was made,
what it was made with.
What it was made with.
Or what's going to happen to it when people are done using it.
Exactly. So what is it measuring? Just how much richer the rich guys got, really. I mean, when you talk about growth, 3% growth, if it's not, then inflation and if inflation's too high, everybody freaks out. If you get, oh my God, deflation, that's even worse, right?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Based on what, though? I mean, still, it's like, how rich are the rich guys getting?
No, I just realized I don't understand something about the GDP.
Yeah.
The financial sector services, is that calculated in the GDP?
Sure.
I'm not sure either. That's something we need to look into.
Yeah, again,
that's absolutely ludicrous to have that in there.
Right.
A product for somebody to create money out of nowhere. Without being based on any kind of thing in reality that somebody's done.
Right. The closest we have to... Oh, and another thing... it's a little bit's coming back to me from reading the Bhutan thing. They also now... Any new, works project or whatever that's going on has to not only get, environmental... What's it going to do with the environment, environmental impact study. Yeah, that's the words I was looking for. Not only does it have to have that, it has to have how's it going to affect the happiness. Mm-hmm. They've said somehow figured out a way to quantitatively adjust to see, okay, is this going to make us any happier by doing this? And if I don't know if that anything's been canceled because of it. No, we won't be happy. No, we don't need that road, really. Won't make anybody happier.
That would be interesting to see if the studies that they did, like after the 2010 questionnaire, actually influenced...
The 2010 questionnaire? What's the 2010 questionnaire?
It was that PDF file I sent you right before the show. You probably didn't look at it yet.
Which one?
It's the actual questionnaire that they sent the Bhutan.
Oh,
people.
no, I didn't see that. Well, okay.
I got it on the computer here if you want to take a look at it. There's some really interesting
Go ahead.
questions.
Dig it out, but as we're looking it up, let's keep talking about it.
Yeah, it's they ask things like very specific to that country.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right.
How far do you have to walk for firewood?
Okay, sure.
Question.
Right.
How much of this certain substance called doma do you chew every day?
Okay, right.
Which I guess is some sort of
typical Burmese people. This is what they like. This is what they do.
It calms them down or something. But they also ask about alcohol usage and tobacco usage. I mean, there's some real subjective kind of questions there. That
I would think
that how they framed the people that made the questions is like, well, okay, we think that if you use too much of this, that reflects that you're not as happy as somebody else.
Right. Maybe not. Maybe somebody's just self-medicating because they like it. I don't know.
Well, in this world, these days, it shouldn't be surprising to us that people do self-medicate because we're only programmed to handle our biological limits are 3 variables. That's all we can handle. And this complex, interconnected world we've created that seems to be coming part of the seams, and people are increasingly coming to realize is going to be rapidly changing.
What do you mean by 3 variables? We can only adjust for 3 variables.
Studies have shown, laboratory studies, that most people can handle 2 variables in their brain simultaneously. Those are like up at the top of the bell curve distribution-wise. And a much smaller percentage of people up at the top of the bell curve can handle 3 variables in their brain at the same time. And they,
like what?
Well, any type of variable of a complex problem that has a certain number of elements to it.
Okay.
And they threw tests. How solve this problem. Answer the questions on this test with a certain number of variables involved.
Okay.
And there's just a small percentage of people that can handle 3 variables at a time.
Okay.
At 4, the whole entire human population is essentially random.
Okay.
Our brains just can't handle that many variables at the same time. So it's no wonder that people self-medicate. I mean, it's just...
Oh, we're bombarded by... You're saying we're just sensory overloaded.
Oh, yeah. Bandwidth limitations. I've seen that in my life.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's just overwhelming to my head sometimes.
Right.
Just how complex this whole world is.
And that's going to affect our happiness, certainly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's going to make us stressed beyond belief and feel the need for medication, be it self or in a doctor prescribed pill. It doesn't matter.
That's why the pharmaceutical industry's doing so well on so many people.
Oh yeah, I mean all the depression medicines, in my opinion. I mean, they're just making us.
You rolled your eyes at that.
They're just making us okay with this horrible lifestyle we've chosen. I mean, I'll be honest. I was on Zoloft for a minute way back in my early TV career because the job was super stressful, and I was a basket case to begin with, just being stressed about anything. So I was freaking out at work, and they said you got to talk to the therapist or you're getting the door. So that's all right.
God, that's a
just because I was just a nut job, just freaking out at every little thing. Just so many little deadlines were just overwhelming me totally.
Yeah.
And so I did, and within 5 minutes, the guy was writing me a script for Zoloft. Not even barely asking me anything. I mean, hey, what time is it? Here's a prescription. Seriously. So I did it for like a month. Felt numb, just no emotion of any kind, and that was just weird, and I didn't like it. So I just took myself off it, which is supposedly a horrible thing to do. But the doc didn't say anything. You don't just take yourself off antidepressants. I read later.
Yeah, it can result.
Yeah, it can result. Yeah, I could. Some people of the bent could commit suicide. So fortunately, I didn't, and I just got off the stuff and never looked back to that. I just decided soon after, okay, I just need a different lifestyle. So I was in the production side of things, and I just got out and and ended up shifting over to the fix-it side of things. And that was a whole lot less stress, just being in charge of putting the stuff together and making sure it worked and walking away and letting the producer guys, have their fun with the show, And to me, that was a much better way to be in TV, And
That's an interesting
I didn't need
personal
the meds
story.
anymore. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Sure.
I went through sort of a similar thing when I was corporate assigned me to come out to Lansing out in Detroit and help build the Lansing Grand River plant. And so that was like a major thing. I'd never worked in a plant before. I was in the middle of going through a divorce. I had filed for divorce from my wife. It was just like a really abusive thing. She had been diagnosed as manic depressive and got put on medication.
Which, do you not know what she got put on?
Which,
it's all crazy cocktails. They're all of it, man. Serotonin inhibitors are just weird things.
Well, Butrin, Zoloft, a whole bunch of other ones. And this didn't work, that didn't work, that didn't work.
Yeah.
And
pick your animated commercial with the happy person.
Yeah, I always remember the little guy with the I don't know, that even still runs. He looked so cute, like the Pillsbury Doughboy of mental health.
I love my job. This is great.
I remember that one.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Yeah.
Every one of them is just to keep us spinning cogs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's just that cog
functioning in the system.
That cog's
that's
not
most
working.
Important.
Throw some pills down his throat. Get
That's
him back
the way
to work.
Just oil it. Even though it's going to wear him down.
And that's all. That all comes back to the consuming. It's just the whole evil thing of just go to the horrible job, make the horrible products, push the horrible products. If you're in the service thing, whatever. It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what your job is. At some point, you're screwing up the environment and destroying the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. So I went on it myself because I was like in the middle of the divorce. And that was like ugly, just dealing with that whole thing. And sorry, you guys don't care about that stuff. But
hey, this is gripping drama now, man.
But I had my lab that I was moving to, and moving to a new city. I'd never worked in a plant before, only at corporate headquarters.
Right.
And we were building a new plant with a new product in a new city, and it was just like overwhelming to me. And I've always been a big fan of counseling. Yeah. I mean, it's a really good thing. But then I got diagnosed with ADHD too, which I know I've known that my whole life since I even learned about it. Hell yeah! So they put me on some antidepressant and ADHD at the same time, and it was just like a major mind fuck. You know? And I stayed on it for about 6 months, and then everything kind of settled out, and I just said, I'm not gonna do this the rest of my life and just mess with my head this way. So
I've known people that have gone through the ringer with their meds. I mean, I knew this one girl. I guess she found the right combination, but I don't know. It's all just a crapshoot nightmare to me.
Well, our understanding of our brains, how they work, is a crapshoot.
It is.
I mean,
we think we know.
But
last I checked,
really
they don't even really serotonin inhibitors, right? That's mostly what all these things are.
Serotonin
reuptake inhibitors.
Okay. Yes, whatever you had.
And they're not even sure why
there's
that.
Oxytocin, and then there's a whole bunch of different chemicals that.
Yeah. I stopped doing research on it, honestly, but last I checked, they just don't know. They don't know why this stuff works necessarily. They just see, okay, when this happens in the brain, people seem to feel this way.
Yeah,
but they don't know anything further
experimental.
than that.
That's the thing that really scared me about all those drugs.
Right.
Not only because I knew that eventually economic collapse would.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
I'm not going to be able to. And
suck
to
it
go
up
cold
now.
turkey, not being able to get it.
Yeah.
But also, they haven't been on the market that long historically.
No,
Who the hell knows what's going to happen to people's brains in 20 years?
I don't know when it happened that the FDA became the enemy, but oh my God, they just don't do anything that we need anymore. They just approve horrible science. The stuff they do. Well, GMOs are the same thing. You could say the same argument about GMOs. They have not done the testing. It has not been alive in the biosphere long enough to know what it's going to do. And they've unleashed countless sequences that they've come up with, just invented DNA sequences just because they know it works to their intent.
And they can.
Yeah, and they can.
And there's good research money to figure out, oh, wow, we can
because
use all these facilities and technologies and people to...
With because it adds to the gross domestic product.
Exactly.
Not anybody's happiness.
Exactly.
Nobody's
we
happy.
really need these things?
We brought it around.
Yeah.
We brought it around, everybody. Little personal stories.
Yeah.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that, and back.
And back. Okay.
Yeah. So the
here's
questionnaire.
Here's that question on psychological well-being.
Right.
What are the 6 or 7 things that you consider to be the most important that leads to a happy and content life?
Mm-hmm.
So then they just fill those things in.
Mm-hmm.
But then they also rank, and it's just a simple ranking.
Mm-hmm.
I am a happy person, not a very happy person, a very happy person.
Mm-hmm.
And these are all just like general questions.
Yeah.
Your health, your standard of living, major occupations, stuff like that, and these are important.
I did read one argument today that people they will say that you can't use the gross the happiness index because it's based on like Buddhism because it's out of Bhutan.
Well, they actually do talk a lot about it.
These are pretty generic questions.
Oh yeah, but they
are there some that are
they
specific?
do get very specific spirituality. How often do you recite prayers? How often do you practice meditation? How often do you visit local temples and other
Those could
places
easily be
of spiritual significance?
shifted into some sort of Judeo-Christian terminology.
They could, I suppose.
More,
Do you consider karma in the course of your daily life?
Yeah,
Right.
you could focus group the right word there. You could instead
And apply it
do you
to the
consider
Christians.
do you consider vengeance in the course of the day? That'll cover most Catholics. So
No, come on.
So there you go.
Catholics, listen.
Oh, I'm Italian, sort of Catholic raised, so I get to say the jokes, whatever.
Yeah, but see the issue I have with this section on spirituality is that.
But America's
the
spiritual.
ranking is
It's just we have a weird material kind of spirituality, but if we could still reword that.
Well, like if you read, do you consider karma in the course of your daily life, and change it to Christianity and say, do you read the Bible in the course of your daily life, since we're supposedly a Christian nation?
Or you could even make it. You could make it so neutral that that wouldn't matter anymore either. Sorry, I was just fumbling with our microphone there. Keeps kind of blanking out. All right.
So, but there's an implicit assumption that if you do recite prayers daily to your deity,
right,
that you're more happy, which I take issue with as a sort of
they've
agnostic,
decided,
atheistic.
Yeah. Well, they've decided
Pan-atheist.
for whatever reason, this panel of people have decided that spirituality, statistically, lends to greater happiness.
I don't know.
We could spend a half hour just debating that alone. I mean, personally,
Absolutely.
I don't I don't know. I feel I'm becoming happier, more maybe content. That's the thing about religion that I'm probably falling for myself, becoming more spiritual and more Buddhist philosophy in my life. It's just, I don't know. Am I trading up one drug for another? I mean, I don't think I've ever been a drug addict, but I did drink, but I don't really drink much anymore. But I am meditating more. So, I don't know.
That's good practice, I think.
Right.
I mean,
it's certainly more healthy than drinking.
It has a physical effect on your brain to do
it's
that.
It's still a replacement of a feel-goody thing that might be indicative of an addictive behavior. I don't know.
Does it make you happy after
you
meditate?
Oh, yeah, sure. But, I mean, I suppose praying does, so I guess, what's the difference? I mean, prayer and meditation are very similar mental states, if taken at length. Priest or they've done studies with rosary beads, I guess. I think I've heard this on an Alan Watts thing. But yeah, it
really
puts people in a meditative state.
Well, I could see that where you're
just reciting, and just locking in, and after a while, just you're not even really listening to the words in your own mouth.
The same thing happens to me when I'm splitting wood.
There you go. Yeah.
When I get out my Monster Mall and I've got a whole old cord
Yeah.
of wood that needs to get split.
Right.
There is just a rhythm
Right.
and a being in my body
Right.
in the moment
Yeah.
where because I have to focus
Right,
on
right.
what I'm
Right.
doing.
And that's flow too. There's a lot more talk of flow lately. People that they're just in the jive. They're just in the zone.
Well, that's the whole thing about
Yeah.
like I think an important thing about happiness. Something I was
Finding
thinking about
that
earlier
spot.
today.
Yeah, finding
Living
that
in the
place.
moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Not having regrets and guilt and
Right.
about the past
Right.
or worrying about the future.
And that is nothing what our economy does. Everything
absolutely.
about our
Yeah.
economy is about future happiness. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I've
Yes.
said it before. Pursuing it like dogs chasing our own tail, just spinning off a cliff. That's the American dream of happiness right now. I mean, we're chasing nothing. We're chasing stuff. We're using up the entire planet in the process.
And just by the language that we use, if you're pursuing something,
You don't have it.
that means you don't have it right now.
That's my point.
So it's implicit in
It's
the
the future.
concepts that
We all work towards retirement. Then we get retirement. Where our bodies are old and broken by then. I mean, yeah, okay, we got a pile of money, maybe, but
And then what? Oh, okay,
Then
now
what?
I get to be happy.
Now
when
I'm happy.
70 years old.
Yeah, but I got all these medical bills now. So the happiness, you just have to find it now, this moment. I mean, for right now, this is great. I'm recording my thoughts with a friend and about crap we care about. I'm not getting paid. I don't care. I'm happy. I'm happy doing this right now. This is great.
I'm getting paid.
You are?
Yeah, not in dollars. Not in federal U.S. dollars.
No?
I'm getting paid in just good feelings.
Oh, exactly.
I'm doing that.
Right.
And that's, again,
Right.
redefining wealth.
We should give each
you know?
other a time bank dollar just for doing the show every week.
We should.
Just
We
to
should be
make
doing this.
exchanges.
Yeah.
We should. I'm gonna send you a time bank
All right.
hour. You send me
All
a time
right.
bank
We'll
hour.
exchange time
It
back
just
dollars.
shows that there's more.
it
I don't
shows- and that's
know. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't be talking about this sort of illicit transaction. Because it's a zero transaction.
Bullshit. It's not a zero
It goes in the
transaction.
bank. It registers in the bank that people are having transactions, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
But that's time banking. That was our first show, so we're never talking about time banking again.
No,
Never.
no. We've covered that
Never.
whole
Yeah.
topic.
Why ever talk about that again?
It's interesting. Earlier today, I got this email from my brother.
Yeah.
Who's a big
yeah.
biker.
Yeah. He was
And-
what? A biker.
He's a biker.
Oh, okay. I wondered what about the
enthusiast.
biking references.
Oh yeah, he like
Yeah.
follows people that go off on journeys and stuff. He's
Yeah, yeah.
always going off on bicycles, or not bicycle, but
Motorcycles.
trips.
Right.
And
He's got a Harley.
no, I don't even know. What
No,
kind
it doesn't
it's-
matter.
and then I should a bad brother for not even knowing, taking that much of an interest in his hobby.
No big deal.
But some of these biker guys really get philosophical and really intense and really wise in talking about
Yeah.
life, because I think these journeys and trips they go on, it sort of puts themselves
Well, you got to be
in
living.
a mindset,
Yeah.
that like what we're talking about. And one of the things my brother sent me this email that was the most amazing thing, and he hardly ever forwards emails to me, so this was really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that is coming into sort of more common acknowledgement is that wealth is not money.
Oh yeah.
Wealth is
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It all comes down
Yeah.
to time.
Mhm.
And that's why time banks are taking
Yeah.
off like that.
Yeah.
I think people are starting to figure this out when even
Time
just
is-
like
yeah.
regular biker guys
Time is everybody's
And it's
most precious resource.
dawning on them.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
what the hell have I been doing for the last
Yeah.
40 years?
And that's another
It's
thing
time.
about our economy. We want to leave a legacy.
Yeah.
We're not living now. We're living a million years from now, and when Mount Rushmore is still standing there, it's like it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, because all that matters. Why do you care about that? It makes you happy, right? It makes you happy to know the Mount Rushmore is still going to be there in a million years, Teddy Roosevelt, right?
I don't care about Mount Rushmore. But deep time.
But somebody did.
Deep time issues.
Somebody did, though.
Oh, there. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Why did? Yeah, that made somebody
Leave a
happy.
legacy. I don't know. The only thing I want to leave behind are just words. Words in my philosophy. That's it. I don't care about anything else. Because that's all that matters. Well, what do you stand for? What do you, you know?
That
To
is
me,
enough. That's I'm just pondering my own.
Yeah.
Because I've been reconsidering that a lot lately about my legacy. Because you don't have any biological children.
Nope.
I don't have any biological children. People that do have biological children tend to look at like, I have
Even
given
that's-
the world children,
Right. And
which
even-
is
yeah.
okay if the kids are good and
hopefully
making a
yeah,
good
but
contribution.
but you can't in any way expect your kid to be anything like you. You shouldn't. Other than like some sensibilities that are just family traits, and everybody does their stupid family traits, Like Brooke, now that Brooke has seen the rest of my family, she points out, oh God, now I get it. She'll look at my dad doing something, or my mom just doing some sarcastic thing, and that's okay.
I read something in that one email or that one BBC thing on happiness that said that they think right now that happiness is actually 50% genetic. Studies are showing that
Maybe.
people are. I mean that the ability to be happy and live in the world the way we've been talking about is 50% genetic.
Maybe it's genetic, but it might also be more tied to somebody's original place of, the familial place of origin, because
That's the other 50%. The non-genetic part.
No, well, I'm just saying, like, somebody's environment way back then affected their genetics, made them, like if I was in Italy right now, maybe I'd be the most happy guy in the world, Right. But I'm in America and Michigan. It's cold. I should be on the Mediterranean.
Good food.
I don't know, but maybe it is. There are regional dispositions to a certain kind of happiness. I don't know. I'm totally.
You're getting into like I think what's called epigenetics.
Epigenetics.
Yeah, which is sort of a controversial
Next
theory
week.
right now.
That might be next week.
Not for me. Again, biology is like not my bailiwick.
No.
Give me equations. I
there's
like
equations in
quantitative
biology.
numbers. Yeah, I suppose there are.
Hey, 27 minutes and some change.
Okay.
All right. Well, that was a pretty good show towards the end. Our stories were good. I always love our stories. I shouldn't critique the show on the way out the door. Anyways, my name is Ken.
I'm Scott.
You've been listening to Postconsumers. See you next week with hopefully a guest.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.